Spotify calls Apple's DMA compliance plan extortion and a complete and total farce. Count Spotify among those not thrilled with how Apple has chosen to comply with the EU's Digital Markets Act DMA, which sets the stage for sideloading apps, alternative app stores, browser choice, and more. On Friday, the streaming music company issued its response to Apple's new DMA rules, calling the new fees imposed on developers extortion and Apple's compliance plan complete and total farce that demonstrated the tech giant believes that the rules don't apply to them. Apple earlier this week announced a host of changes that comply with the letter of the EU law, if not the spirit. The company said that app developers in the EU will receive reduced commissions, but it also introduced a new core technology fee that requires developers to pay €0.5 for each first annual install per year over a 1 million threshold, regardless of their distribution channel. It will also charge a 3% payment processing fee when developers use Apple's in-app payments instead of their own. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney, whose company sued Apple over antitrust concerns, already condemned Apple's plan, saying it was a case of malicious compliance and full of junk fees, and now Spotify is essentially saying the same. The streamer, along with Epic, Match, and others, has been a longtime critic of the tech giant and one that has pushed for increased regulation, including through the DMA in a company blog post and a series of posts on X, formerly Twitter. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek shared his thoughts on Apple's DMA announcement after a review by Spotify's lawyers. He begins by calling the announcement at best vague and misleading and a new low for the company. X says Apple's solution is a masterclass in distortion as it presents app developers with a choice of sticking to the current terms or having to switch to a convoluted new model that initially may look attractive but actually may come with higher fees. He points out that any app with tens or hundreds of millions of EU users would now face a new tax on every new download and update annually, something that would impact a number of larger apps like WhatsApp, Duolingo, X, and Pinterest, as well as Spotify's own. The system is clearly designed to keep apps from opting for alternative means of distribution like sideloading or alternative app stores. However, without the big apps available through these alternative channels, they'll lose their appeal to consumers. Apple's App Store will maintain its power, Ek believes. Plus, because of the increased fees, Spotify doesn't even have a choice. Ek explains it's forced to stick with the current system. Spotify itself faces an untenable situation. He writes, "With our EU Apple install base in the 100 million range, this new tax on downloads and updates could skyrocket our customer acquisition costs, potentially increasing them tenfold. This is we have to pay on every install or update to our free or paid app, even for those who no longer use the service. So where does that leave us? Under the new terms, we cannot afford these fees if we want to be a profitable company. So our only option is to stick with the status quo, the very thing we've been fighting against for 5 years." X says he signs off with a challenge to lawmakers, saying he hopes they recognize what Apple is doing and stands firm and doesn't let their work over the years all be for nothing. "The world is watching," X writes.